So here we are, finally. It's time to talk about the custom settings for MACD on Stochastic and prepare ourselves for the interesting stuff that's coming in the next lesson, with the beginning of the next lesson, and we'll be talking about the actual entry and exit signals. So before we do that, we need to set up our platforms correctly so that we have custom settings that I use personally for both Stochastic and MACD when I trade. And once again, as a small reminder, the reason why I use custom settings is because I've spent quite a lot of time trading with indicators and using indicators. And with the custom settings, what I've achieved is that the MACD and Stochastic readings are a lot smoother, and there are a lot less small, hectic and sharp edges, and therefore it helps me to filter out small and unneeded and false signals. So I use 3 different sets of custom settings for each time frame that I use. Now, the most important time frames for me are the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and sometimes the 15 seconds. But as we spoke about the 15 seconds before, the 15 seconds is more for hectic, super hyperactive trading in a small channel, in a side move, in a slow market. And those situations are not for a beginner trader. And that's why, most importantly, you need to note the 1 minute and 5 minute settings, but 15 seconds settings, of course, please take a note of them as well, because I think you will find them useful later in your trading career as well. Now, as a general reminder, I've said that you can use indicators with any time frame, and it is true. You can trade indicators in 1 hour chart and even in a daily chart, and some signals in the daily chart. They work very, very nicely. However, I prefer to use indicators only in the intraday trading. So that means that I have many trades per day, and therefore mostly I use 1 minute chart and 5 minute chart for my indicator trading. Now, the bigger charts are still very, very important, and we'll talk about that in terms of the major trend. As you remember, the concept of the major trend, that you have to consult with the older, bigger brother and before you actually take a signal in your main trading chart. And the same goes for the future trading systems that we will start learning beginning with the next chapter, with chapter 7. In those systems, even the daily chart is super important, and the 4-hour chart is going to be very important. And so those bigger charts are going to be, the bigger time frames are going to be very, very important. Now, for the indicator trading, primarily all the entries and exits, actual signals, I usually look for in the 1 minute or the 5 minute charts. Now, once again, you can do it in the hourly chart and the daily chart, but I personally do not do it. I've done it a few times, but I prefer to do it in 1 minute and 5 minute charts, simply because when you start trading an hourly chart, that means that you're waiting for one signal sometimes for 1 week. And this is very boring, and I like action. And that's why I trade 1 minute and 5 minute charts. And quite honestly, yes, you might think that the movement is a lot smaller. The expected movement in the 1 minute is probably, and it really is, smaller than in a daily chart. That is true. However, remember that nowadays the market has got so much money in it. It's so volatile that even taking a few nice signals in a 1 minute chart per day and making 30-40 points, you will be very wealthy very quickly. You don't need to take huge trades in a daily chart or nothing like that. You don't have to be hunting for them for months or weeks. Or if you know what you're doing, you can trade 5-6 hours a day, have 10 or 15 trades, have really nice money management and risk management, and you will make 30, 40, 50 points on average. And trust me, that amount of points per day, using the 1% rule in terms of your deposit, that you don't risk too much. Even with 1% deposit rule, if you have a deposit of 5 or 10,000, and at some point you will grow it step by step, and I'll explain to you how to grow your depot correctly. And with even trading 1 and 5 minute short trades, which these trades, they will last from anywhere from 5 minutes to a few hours at a maximum. and sometimes the 5-minute trade that it can last for half a day, so maybe 5, 6, 7 hours, but that's very seldomly. Mostly on average, those indicator trades that I trade myself every day until this day, they last not more than 1 or 2 hours at an absolute maximum. That's the reason why I have 3 primary different indicator settings for 3 different time frames, which is once again 15 seconds, 1 minute and 5 minutes. And every other time frame I still have the indicators, but the settings are the same as the 5-minute. So let's take a look at the first time frame, which is 15 seconds. And once again, you will not be using it very much in the very beginning, but you still need to know it and to have those custom settings. Now I will show you the settings not just for the indicators, the technical settings, but also the visual settings. So as you can see that the MACD is pretty much the same as we were looking at it before visually. However, the settings you can see right here. So the settings are 20, 32, and 6. And that's for the 15-second chart. Now, as for the stochastic, the settings are 22, 2, and 3. The order is the same in each platform, so you can just write down 20, 32, 6, and 22, 2, and 3 for MACD and stochastic respectively. Now, as you can see in stochastic, I have quite a few extra color zones. So as for the levels, I have the 80 line, the 60 line, the 50 line, the 40 line, and the 20 line. And you're familiar with these lines. However, as you can see that they are in a different color. So what you're looking at right now is actually what I use and what I look at when I trade on a daily basis. So here, and once again, it depends on your platform. Some of the platforms will not let you customize it so much as the Pro Real Time allows you to do. And that's the reason why I've recommended you many times to trade using Pro Real Time software and the Pro Real Time platform. So here, as you can see, I've added the color zone into the, let's see in the settings. So here are the color zones. First are the horizontal lines. And these are the 20, 40, 50, 60, and 80. And as you can see, the 20 is the blue color as we used to have it, and you can see it in the stochastic itself. Now the 40, I have it in pink, and I have it as a line with the breaks in the middle, so that it looks different from the 80 and 20, and obviously the color is pink. Now the 50 line, it's pistachio green, whatever you call that green color. Just you can use any colors you'd like, but I just like this color in the color combination. It's easier for me to see. Now then the 60, just the same as the 40, and the 80 is the same as the 20. That's quite simple. Now for the color zones. So this is the color zone number 1, and this is below the 20. So when the stochastic is below 20, I'll have this red zone, and that's why I call the zone below 20 the red zone. Now, originally it was designed to call it oversold zone, and above 80 it was overbought zone. But I use stochastic and MACD and just in general the indicators in a completely different way, sometimes completely different way than in the way they were designed. That's why I even call these zones completely differently. So from this point onwards, the zone beyond 20 will be called the red zone, and you can see it because it's red. And the zone above 80 is going to be this one here, and as you can see, it's the stochastic K in relation to the horizontal line 80, which is going to be green, and this is the green zone. So originally it was designed and called the overbought zone, but I call it the green zone, and you will find out later on why that is. And the last color zone that I have is the zone in between 60 and 40, and I call it the neutral zone. And you'll see many times that when the market relaxes and there is some kind of a side move-ish activity, you'll see that the market is quite neutral and therefore side move-ish and slow, and the stochastic oftentimes is just hanging around the neutral zone. That's why I call it the neutral zone, and just for the easiness of the visual and for just my visual comfort, I've made this pink zone in the middle, so that I'll right away see that the stochastic is in pink, which means it's in the neutral zone. And soon I'll be using this terminology, the red zone, pink zone, neutral zone, the green zone, very much, and you'll understand why I call them these names, and it's quite easy to understand. But don't worry if you don't understand them. As of right now, that is okay, and I'll be talking so much about them that you'll understand quite very soon. Before we go to the 1 minute chart, let's go over the settings once again. So MACD is 20, 32, 6, stochastic 22, 2, 3, and this is for the 15-second chart for super hyperactive trading. So now let's go to the 1 minute chart, and here it is. Let's change the settings for the 1 minute. So the 1 minute settings are going to be 20, 32, that's correct, the same as 15 seconds, but here 8. And that's all the difference. So as you can see now, as we apply them, the distance between the trigger line and the MACD line has become a little bit wider. And in my opinion, that for 1 minute, in the way that the 1 minute actually acts and behaves most of the time, this is quite useful. But let's not go too deep into those technical details of why I do this. Just trust me on the fact that these precise indicator settings for each of the time frames that I'm showing you right now are the best match. Now, as for the stochastic in the 1 minute, the settings are 20, 4, and 3. 20, 4, and 3. And you will see that the stochastic changed quite very much. A lot less movement, and the general picture is a lot smoother. So once again, the settings for the 1 minute. MACD 20, 32, 8, stochastic 20, 4, and 3. Now let's go to the 5 minutes. Here are the 5 minutes. And the settings are quite different. The settings are 14, 32 is the same, and 6. And here we can see that the visual output has changed quite a bit as well. Now, as for the stochastic, for the 5 minutes, I use 18, 2, and 3. So once again, for the 5 minutes, 14, 32, and 6, the MACD, and the stochastic, 18, 2, and 3. Any time frame above 5 minutes, and 5 minutes included, these are the settings. So the MACD, 14, 32, 6, and stochastic, 18, 2, and 3. We only use different settings for the 15-second time frame and the 1 minute time frame. 5 minute and above are the same. So these ones right here. And they are quite different from the stock settings, as you might have noticed. But trust me, there is a reason for that. And as I have explained, with these settings, it's a lot smoother and easier to read. And trust me, even this simple change will positively impact your trading results in the long run. All right, good luck with your test. Enjoy your homework. There is a fun one today. And I'll see you in the next lesson, where we'll finally start talking about the first trading system.